all the things that the college football players and now the NFL players have been able to have a voice. And we were, different opinions with the crew, but what is your take on that? With all these young men, all these different schools, you can name one almost everywhere in the country. They're speaking out now. University of Texas, that's your alma mater. UCLA also, those guys there. Tell us your thoughts on that as you join us.
Well, obviously they're feeling more empowered these days, and if you look back in our past and go back to the civil rights movement, there was young folks leading those movements. Yeah, it was Dr. Martin Luther King and you had Rosa Parks, but the meat of those movements were the young folks, the John Lewises of the world. You remember John Lewis and the march through Selma and getting hit over the head. And here you are as a stalwart in the U.S. Congress. So these young folks are taking ownership. And what's very disheartening to me is that I was marching 30 years ago when I was at the University of Texas because of some racial incidents there. And yet here, 30 years later, these young men and women are having the march. So how much progress have we made? Now, clearly, there's not segregation to speak of, but there's still systemic issues that are prevalent in our society. And I love the fact that these young folks are taking ownership. And also, if you look at these movements, it's 50-50 black and white. And that's what needs to happen for change to occur in our country. So I'm hoping this is that true inflection point where not only athletes, but also our society at large is taking notice and they can't stand this anymore. And lastly, I'll just say, sports has always been at the epicenter of change in this country. You go back to those consortiums led by Ali and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Jim Brown back in the day. And even prior to that, I mean, you had Jesse Owens, you had Jackie Wright, you had Paul Robeson way back in the day. And so sports has always been the catalyst for change. And these young men and women understand the leverage that they actually possess currently, because all they have to do, and I said this a number of years ago on our Inside College Football show at CBS Sports, I said, these young men they're gonna collude one day and say, hey, we ain't showing up on one of these Saturdays and see how much change happens repeatedly. And Missouri went through this.
Yeah, exactly.
And so just show up, don't show up one of these weekends. And we know money rules the world. And these cats don't show up, a lot of pockets are going to be hurting, including mine.
Yeah, well, all of us, including yours. Hey, Hardy, I want to come to you on this. There's a lot of talk about football possibly taking place, not taking place. What's your thoughts on that? Because we're starting to see now, not only in the college level, but at the NFL level, you're going to start seeing some guys that test positive. And how are they going to handle that? Because there's no perfect bubble. We can't just put bubbles around these people and say, you're not going to get sick.
Yeah, there's no perfect bubble. And I think we're in a huge state of uncertainty right now. Not knowing, I don't think we even know enough about the COVID virus at this point. With no vaccine, there's no telling what the effects could be on these student athletes, and to put them in situations where their health could be compromised, I think is a bad choice. So when you talk about having games, let's back up. Practices, meetings, on-field stuff. When you're talking about a football program, you're talking about 85 scholarship athletes at the Power 5 level and another 15 to 20 walk-ons. You're talking about over 100 people, then staffing of about maybe 50, in some programs. Yeah. You're talking about 150, 160 people that you've got to quarantine, you got to feed, you got to take care of them on minute by minute. Yeah, I just, it's with the way that the virus is spreading here in California, they're saying the upward slope is in a vertical line right now, this is in the last week or so. So as you look at that, if you're at Texas, are you going to want to come? Is that school going to come to California and play right now? There are issues that still have not been ironed out. You got players reporting to programs. You got programs reporting that they've got 20, 30 cases of coronavirus. It it just doesn't make, to me, it's as if there's more to the story. They're not telling us the whole thing.
Can I make a point? Can I just piggyback what Hardy just said? Because let's
you're going to do it anyway. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Kevin knows this. He works with me.
Yeah.
So
conscious stream always, but
let's
go
get
ahead.
a little bit intimate. We have one of the premier strength and conditioning coaches.
That's who I was going to.
Right. So, but I'll real quick, Mad Dog. So Kevin, let's get a little bit more intimate. So in that weight room, who's going to spot me when I got 400 on there, right? I mean, so you're going to be compromised, not just out there on the field, not just in practice, not just in that locker room, but even when you're preparing, you're in your preparations to even go out there on the field with the rest of your teammates. And in no more intimate spot than, hi, it's my guard dog, Join. No more intimate spot than that weight room.
Right.
Yeah, Doug, I was going to ask you that because have you ever seen anything quite like this? And BJ brings up a good point. Who's going to be there? Are you doing it in small groups? What are they trying to do now? Because we know they keep saying we're going to come back, but each school has been very reluctant to kind of tell us what coming back looks like and how they're going to quarantine people if you have 30 or 15 or 20. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, the way they're doing it is they are breaking them up into smaller groups, and they're trying to keep them on, most of the teams now have platforms that you do all your training on, and they're trying to keep individuals on that one particular platform. So if you're group A and then BJ's in group B, that's where y'all will stay for the rest of the time.
I like it like that. I only have to be next to him, but go ahead.
But every time you touch the bar, though, you got to make sure that bar gets disinfected afterwards. The hard part about it is because guys like to chalk up and do that kind of stuff. It's difficult. When you get when sweat and perspiration is out there, they still don't know how this thing is passed. So therefore, if they're saying that you can speak and pass it, or you can cough and pass it, or you can yell and pass it, why would it not be passed through sweat? So I mean, because that's perspiration. So the hard part about it is you got to keep those guys in line. When you take them out on the field, they've got to be a certain distance from each other. So there's no more tight huddle. There's no more, I do a set, you do a set, I do a set, you do a set. There's no more team lifting. So I mean, the hard part about it is just getting them prepared. And what happens is when you don't have a preparation day to know exactly when they've got to be there or who you're going to be training that day, because if they're checking their temperatures before they ever walk into the facility every day, you don't know who's going to be positive or when they are. Part about it is you take your temperature today, you went to a rally last night, you're okay. But 2 or 3 days from now, what are you going to be? You might be positive. So everybody that don't pass, everybody that you got with, everybody that you spent at that given time, they're all possibly positive. You know, so that means they got to shut it down again. So I mean, just like you said something about Kansas State a few minutes ago. There's a young guy right around the corner that's a freshman going in, Deuce, and Deuce's dad used to coach at Texas, Chris Vaughn, and you don't know whether they're coming or going because his 3 roommates, one of those guys tested positive, so he got to come back home too. So it's going to be that way for a while until we get it all set.
So KC, when you think about that, NFL, I mean, they've already canceled the Hall of Fame game. I know that, and we watch a Major League Baseball now with the 60 or 62 game season. Right. It's going to be interesting. What are your thoughts on that, especially from the NFL level or college football? Because it seems like, we're going into uncharted waters. We don't know, but everybody says you got to do this, you got to do that, we got to play. I mean, I'm at a loss. That's why I'm asking you guys, what's going to happen with football?
I don't know. I mean, not being able to forecast how the disease is going to run its course. I mean, we don't agree on it. It's not a political thing. It's a matter of pure facts and science. and so we don't have a centralized plan or game plan or whatever, and we haven't made that much, enough headway, in figuring it out. So if you and I, as ordinary everyday people, so far removed from, the research and some of the true knowledge of what's going on, if we don't have a working understanding of what we're dealing with, then we don't know what's going to happen down the road. I think baseball, is going forth with, an abbreviated schedule. One of my neighbors is one of the in the front office for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they're talking about doing things from a hockey perspective, but they have a different issue. They're not outside; they're in arenas, and it's like, so, and they're smaller and they're more intimate, and it's like, okay, so there's different scenarios, and I think trying to prepare for the possibility of having a season is what everyone is trying to do. Trying to distance and train and everything else, and and if you're fortunate, if you're at home or if you're in a group, or if you can train and get that preparation, that's a great thing. But I think everyone's kind of going into it with the anticipation of, hey, we're gonna postpone things and move things back a little bit. My son's at Dartmouth, and they've had talks. Buddy Tevens and all the other Ivy League coaches have spoken about possibly doing an abbreviated just Ivy League schedule. So they have a 7-game schedule against the other Ivy League schools, and that's it. Usually they have a couple of, Patriot League games that they also play as well, or different opponents. But so all of this talk, and they're all contingencies based upon what we don't know.
Yeah. Going back to, since you got on, BJ, I wanted to ask you this, and you guys all can chime in. How long will these coaches, whether it's NFL or college, stay woke? I mean, we got a lot of folks that walk around now saying, they want to be a part of Black Lives Matter. They want to be a part, but we all know you guys have all been recruited and sat with your sons or relatives and listened to the recruiting pitch, right? I think some of this is about recruiting. I'm not sure if it's sincere. I want to get your opinion, because some of this stuff is disingenuous when you tell me you don't know what certain things are, or I got to listen. You've listened to these guys for a long time. You've been recruiting in these people's homes for a long time. BJ, I want to get your thoughts on that, because I know it's one of the things that burns me up when I don't hear coaches speaking up, and now they're speaking up. How long are they going to do that?
Well, I think a lot of them were ignorant to what the plight of the players in their locker room. So that's just the truth of it. They never really have taken an interest. Just look at Oklahoma State, what's transpired there over the last week and a half. And here's a coach, Mike Gundy, that was truly detached from his football team. There are reports that he didn't know the name of certain players. He has a player collapse. Yahoo is reporting that he didn't even know the kid's name, and move the drill, which we're all used to. We're old school ballers.
That means you take the ball, you move it 10 yards,
right,
and you keep practicing.
Keep practicing while the trainers tending to so-and-so over there. But at least our coaches knew that so-and-so's name. And so, there are a lot of coaches, administrators who are late to the party, but now they're being forced to educate themselves on the plight of those players in the locker room, on the plight of those administrators, those who work next to them, whether it's in sports or outside of sports. A lot of people now, and this is one, I guess, the advantages of everyone being at home as a result of COVID-19. Everyone sat there and had to focus in on what was happening to George Floyd. This has been happening in the Black community forever. So this isn't new to us. We felt this pain. And for a lot of us, we've just been conditioned to deal with it and shake our heads and internalize it and move on. But now the whole world has taken notice. So there is no turning back. I believe this is that true inflection point where this country changes, because if it doesn't change after what just transpired with George Floyd, what just transpired with Ahmaud Arbery, what transpired with Breonna Taylor and others, Rashard Brooks just here. If it doesn't change after all this has happened, it's going to be in a world of hurt. My grandma used to always say a hard head makes for a soft ass. Well, America has a hard head, and she's going to really feel it. And all these people complaining about looting and rioting, as I said, on the piece we did at CBS Sports, You know, they romanticize all that rioting and looting at the Boston Tea Party way back when. You know, those were patriots, true patriots. Well, these people who are out there protesting and marching, there's only a small fraction who may be doing things of the criminal element. But America needs to take notice. This is an inflection point, and there's no turning back. As others have said, it's a movement, not a moment, and we've got to hold these people's feet to the fire. I'm trying to do that. Everyone needs to do that, because I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired, man. I mean, this is just too sad, and we don't want our children's children to have to deal with this down the road. It needs to stop right now.
Yeah, so willful ignorance that's really there, you know, willfully ignorant of what you already know or you don't want to know and you choose not to. Hardy, Kevin, Mad Dog, you guys jump in, because I think this is a topic we all know so well. We all have seen those guys from a standpoint stand in front of us and just tell us things that, you know, are just flat out lies, or flat out you just don't want to see it. And that's the hard part when you're dealing with this situation now. You got people that are saying, I'm woke, I'm paying attention, I'm working with you. But then there's others that are still saying, I don't know, maybe he shouldn't, or she, you know, it's always maybe this. And that's the part that frustrates a lot of us more than anything. Mad Dog, Hardy, Kevin, when do you guys chime in? Because I think this is a topic that really hits the core of all of us.
You can go ahead, Kevin, or Hardy. I'll come back to it.
Well, it's you know, as you stated, it's a situation where you have coaches that sit in front of kids, sit in front of families, recruiting them, making promises. But at the same time, we see now that those have been a lot of empty promises, where when the rubber meets the road, they'd rather resort to what they're comfortable with, but not with what they should be doing in support of these players that they brought sometimes across the country to attend their schools. Support is big. For a coach, I think for a coach right now, with 60-70% of his team being Black, African American, not to come out and say Black Lives Matter, that's a travesty. How can you not favor and support of all the players that you've recruited to come there, that are part of that big cash cow on campus, that brings in money, that builds buildings on campus? It's a travesty for not to come out and fully support, to sit back and be oblivious to what has happened, to be insensitive. After George Floyd, to walk around with a T-shirt that says "Football Matters," that's unacceptable.
You're talking about Dabo Swinney at Clemson, yep, and totally, yeah. You got to be accountable. You got to be accountable.
And hopefully they have made a change, but the change has to, it has to be genuine. And I think now, for those that are saying that they are woke, let's see. The seeing is in the policies. The seeing is in how programs operate. The way these programs are operating right now is systemic racism.
Kevin, what's your thoughts? And the Mad Dog will come to you on that one.
Yeah,
well,
fine.
I can tell you this, those coaches that are woke and that run programs where the kids, truly believe that their contribution is, the difference between winning and losing, no matter how big and how small, and those kids that are bought in, those kids that are having that experience. Look, kids aren't stupid. Kids know who's got their back, okay? So when those kids get recruited, they're going to ask the kids that are there about your coaches. And look, the programs some of the programs necessarily have great coaches and players are going to go there anyway because they're trying to get to the league. But a lot of these programs will get better because their coaches are woke and they've created a culture that welcomes and supports, all types of, different personalities and kids. So I think some of those programs are going to get better because they're going to get more kids, and more quality kids into their programs. Because, that communication at this point, since it's been put out there on Front Street, it's like, you can't not be about Black Lives Matter. You can't look at your locker room and look at 60%, or more of your locker room is African-American and not say the Black Lives Matter. Like you said, I mean, that's, you call it out. You have to be upfront with it. And I think we're going to see a lot of calling out and a lot of, my personal opinion is this, sometimes I think in an effort to make things right, we overcorrect, right? And sometimes that's good. And a lot of times I'll say, well, you know what? We've undercorrected for so long. Overcorrecting, it's okay for a little while, but that's the thing, right? But most of us, if you talk to us, we're proud people, we're good people. We don't want to be overcorrected. You know what? You just make the rules the same for me and you. That's all. Hey, I grew up with the mentality, and I told my son this, and it's funny, and as he's growing up, going to private schools, going on ski trips and doing privileged things because I was blessed to do something that was lucrative and, could give him the life that I didn't have. It's like he grew up knowing, I'm like, hey, dude, you got to work twice as hard to get half as far. Come on, saying I'm giving you a head start in life, but no, you got to get it. Look at who you are. Look at where you're living. Look at the reality of the world we live in. And, these kids, like I said, these kids these days they're bold and they're in charge, man. And like I said, programs are going to reflect that. You're going to see a lot of coaches that are going to be woke. I mean, look, when I see people like Dan Mullen, rocking the Jays and being cool and trying to take up the torch, the one thing about it, man, the kids love him. Okay. Mm-hmm. Kids will tell you the truth inside of programs about different coaches. And some programs are going to get fat and a lot of coaches are going to get exposed.
Yeah. Hey, Doc, going to you. I mean, this is right up your alley with all these kids that you coached and had, come through your program. And this is probably one for you that you have had to call out coaches that didn't take care of players or didn't do the right thing. I know you and I have had those conversations before where you've had to go man to man and they cowered down from you. So tell us about what that's like and what you've heard from those young men as they come into your office.
Well, what you got to understand is I don't know whether Hardy said it or BJ said it. There's a willful ignorance of knowing exactly what goes on with your kids. And the bottom line is any coach now that takes the time to learn about their teammates, they learn about their players, especially their Black players, they'll learn more about them. They'll become closer to them. And so it's a great opportunity for them to make those bonds stronger. If they don't, as Kevin just said, the programs won't get any better, and the kids will tell, because kids tell now. The bottom line is a coach can stand in front of you. You can say whatever you want to say. When they pull those guys aside, they, man, tell me what's real. What's really going on? What is this guy about? What is my coach about? What kind of person is he? Is he somebody you can trust? I mean, and this can build a better trusting bond with a lot of kids and their coaches, because as was said also before, as those, I think it was Hardy talked about how they come in your house and they tell you, some great things about their kid and what you're going to do for your kid. You got to make sure that they're going to go that extra mile for your child. They say they will, but will they? And the kids know as soon as they get back, because you spend so much time recruiting kids that once you get them to campus, you have to kind of de-recruit them a little bit, to calm them down a little bit, because they think they're the most important person in the organization. But the bottom line is they're a member of the team and they should be treated fairly, and they should get a chance to do everything that anybody else in that team would do. So it's a perfect opportunity right now with all the things that are going on for the coaches, and we use the term woke wake up, or for guys to say, hey, you know, have your team meet to find out what's important to guys. You know, get the committees together, you know, get those guys together, you know, so they can find out what exactly can I do to make this program better? You know, what exactly can my coaches do? To make this thing better.
I'm going to say this: the willful ignorance came from my wife, who was texting me, but so she put that out. I put it through her, from her to us. I will say this: there's a couple of people there's a couple of people that comment. Brett Badger commented that that people want the police to admit the wrongdoing before they ask about ongoing investigation. Also, Tony Wilson comment: until COVID solution, there will be no sports as we have known it. The NCAA should put pressure on Congress. One thing we'll do when we come back on the other side, we'll talk about the mental health of these young athletes, whether it's college, high school, pro, because I think that's the one thing that was sorely missing with a lot of us that we're seeing now has to be there, and you have to make sure, especially coming out of COVID. It's Chopping It Up with Buck, Special Edition Live. We'll be right back.
How you guys doing? It's Artavius Scott here. The reason why I like Thin Energy is because I need to be at my peak performance no matter what I do. Big sports drink for me, you know, keep it going, keeping myself up. It gets me on top of my game, extra boost that I need to keep it going in the fourth quarter. Working out, definitely a good drink for you to have. All the good nutrition that you need inside of it. Passion fruit, it's my favorite one. It's not just for professional athletes, it's for everyone. And I definitely can say it definitely works in the office or in the weight room, wherever you may be. You can go to thinenergy.com, tell them I sent you, and get you a drink. Thin Energy, the healthy alternative. Drink it, live it. See, if I got something like that, I can just go.
No sugar, no crash. Thin Energy.
Many people are looking for natural alternatives to help ease their aches and pains. Begin stopping the pain with the help of Pain Stopper. Formulated by healthcare providers, Pain Stopper helps alleviate a variety of physical ailments so you can get back to doing what you love. Our products are triple independently lab tested to ensure the highest quality hemp available. Visit PainStopCBD.com for more information. Pain Stopper, because why manage pain when you can stop it?
How you guys doing? It's Artavius Scott here.
Live it. Thin Energy.
The reason why I like Thin Energy is because I need to be at my peak performance no matter what I do. Big sports drink for me, you know, keep it going, keeping myself up. It gets me on top of my game, extra boost that I need to keep it going in the fourth quarter. Working out, definitely a good drink for you to have. All the good nutrition that you need inside of it. Passion fruit, it's my favorite one. It's not just for professional athletes, it's for everyone. And I definitely can say it definitely works in the office or in the weight room, wherever you may be. You can go to thinenergy.com, tell them I sent you, and get you a drink. Thin Energy, the healthy alternative. Drink it, live it.
See, if I got something like that, I can just go. No sugar, no crack.